One of the worst feelings is when you work so hard and you have success, and then you look around and you say, is this all there is?
Hey, Bowness here, and welcome back to the We Build Tribes podcast, going out live in the We Build Tribes Facebook group. It's awesome to have you joining us today at 7:30 a.m. here in Australia, and we're here with the awesome Shaqir Hussyin. Shaqir, welcome.
Hey, Mark, I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so excited to be here on your podcast and on your show. So I'm excited. Let's do this.
Well, it's been awesome to have you with us because you are the only person in the world that's got 3 times 8-figure awards from ClickFunnels. So that's $30 million under the age of 30. Mate, how did you do it?
Well, I like how you just went straight into that. So again, firstly, thanks again for having me here. You know, how did I do it? It was a lot of hard work. That was definitely one of them. I mean, I was just doing this podcast a few minutes ago, and I was sharing how the lessons and the principles that I've discovered during that time. And if I start there, I think it's going to give context to what's to come, right? Because we have a solid hour here, and I want to make sure that I deliver the absolute best here. So,
just very quickly, Shaq, just so that everybody knows, I scoured not just the internet, but contacts. I really reached out to all my community, and I was looking for the next kind of coach that would take me from where I am now to, which is kind of 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, but wanted to go to that real $10 million mark. And Shaq is the guy that I found. We spent a lot of time talking, and I just knew that Shaq's been there. He's done it. So if you're watching live or you're listening to the podcast, I want you to take notes. I want you to listen, because this guy is the real deal. And I can say that saying that I've invested money into Shaq and seeing the results already. So I just wanted to pre-frame that, Shaq. So back over to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I love coaching my clients, especially when they're at 7 figures, they made $1 million or $2 million, and they really want to scale to that next level, you know, 10 or $20 million. It's an exciting place to be. And so wherever you're listening to this and wherever you're watching this, now I got my start back about 10, 11 years ago. And I had, got into this industry because I was, like most people, taught to go to school, college, university, get a degree, get a job. And then I'm like, well, I'm in my final year of university, and I realized I don't want to be an investment banker, and I was very fortunate. God bless my dad, who was my biggest, and it still is my biggest inspiration. And he was really my first business mentor, because he used to teach me about business when I was like 12, 13 years old. So when I was 15, I got caught the entrepreneurial bug, and I would be on eBay late at night selling stuff. And I would sell stuff all over my house. And when I couldn't find anything all over the house, I would go to a little website. Back then it was little, and it was called Alibaba, and now it's a huge giant, and obviously everyone does their Shopify stuff from there. But back 10, 15 years ago, hardly anyone was doing that. And I was a young kid importing things from China, selling it on eBay. Then I would go literally door to door, knocking on my neighbor's door, and I'd say, hey, I'm from this corner house. Do you have anything in your garage that I can sell? And they'd look at me like, what? And I'd say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And that was my pickup line. And I would, figure out a way to get into their garage. And then I would sell the, car parts or secondhand radios or whatever the case is, and I'd lead myself with, hey, I'm a commission only salesperson. If I don't sell your stuff on eBay, you don't pay me. And so from a very early age, I developed that spirit. And, going to college, school and university didn't really, for me anyway, didn't really didn't really deepen that relationship I had with entrepreneurship. So at 21 years old, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm dropping out of university. And especially if you're brown and you're an Asian man, when you say to your parents you're dropping out of university, it doesn't usually go well. Right. And my dad said, I'm giving you 6 months, try to do something. And I was like, Dad, give me 6 months, I'll be a millionaire. I wasn't. It took me about 3 years to make my first $1 million. And through going through those lessons and learning and developing myself, I came up with a series of principles. And these are principles for myself, These are not usually principles for everyone else. Again, you can take from it, but I always say, you know, as an adult, you want to develop your own principles. You want to develop your own rules. So, you know, for me, I always praise God. I always believe that God gives everything. So that's a personal thing. As a Muslim, I pray 5 times a day. I got to follow my religion. Secondly, as a businessman, I want to make sure that whoever is coming to do business with me, I want to over deliver by 10x or 100x. Just like you've invested, you know, you bought one of my $50,000 programs. It's not cheap, right? But you want to go to that 8-figure level. And I'm thinking all the time, hey, how can I help Mark make an extra 500K, an extra $1 million here? Where, you know, I'm always thinking about this. And that's what kind of one of the things that you want to do as an entrepreneur is you want to have that frame of thinking is whatever I'm doing, how do I just go out and give my all at all times, right? And you'll see because of that frequency and that vibration, you're going to attract the right people. You're going to repel the wrong people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I learned early on, you know, your frequency and sometimes it sounds a little bit woo-woo, but your frequency and the way you operate really attracts your, you know, your partner, your friends, your family. I mean, so your family is stuck with you or you're stuck with your family, but most of the time, all of the people around you, right? So if you have clients and you know you love them, well, guess what? It's usually because you are vibrating on an energetic level, right? If you have clients and you don't like them, or you have team members and you're always fighting, well, you know, one of the things, one of my mentors, a guy called Brad Sugars, who you've done some work with, Brad Sugars says, you know, his dad taught him, you deserve the team you get. You know, and I remember when I first heard that, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, what? I deserve the team that I have. And I didn't like my team at the time. This was many, many years ago. So I realized for me to have newer, better things, for me to have better clients, for me to have a better team, I have to be a better leader. I have to develop myself as a leader. And so about 20% of my time, I'm always focused on myself as how I can develop into a better leader, into a more strategic thinker. You know, how do I increase and manage my emotions and work on my emotional intelligence? Because you can be very intelligent by reading a bunch of books, but emotional intelligence is one of the key factors that I've seen from people, you know, that go from 6 to 7 and 7 to 8 figures. It's how do you manage your emotions at any given time? You know, what are the daily habits and routines that you've developed that keep you in check when the world starts crashing down? Because here's what happens when you get past 7 figures. It feels like the world crashes down every single day, right? You know, and Mark is laughing right now because he knows what I'm talking about. And on the outside, everyone looks at you and they say you're successful, but on the inside, you're looking at your business and saying, why am I working so hard? Where's the system? Where's the passive income? What's going on? Can I do it again? So I really understand what goes through my clients' minds. And I would say, you know, number one principle, developing yourself with your own philosophies, your own principles, your own values, getting very clear on them. Number two, making sure that you understand the market's pains and problems. Because if you can understand the market's pains, problems, frustrations, desires, concerns, fantasies, and what keeps them awake at night, then you can communicate with them at a level which makes them feel special. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And when someone, you know, my hairs stand up when I say this, right? Because this is how I operate in my business. When someone watches my video presentations, even for yourself, you know, before you wanted to even have a call with me, I said, hey, you need to go watch this 20-minute video. And in that 20-minute video, I go through the pains and problems of my ideal clients and what they go through. And that ideal prospect will watch that 20-minute video and say, Shaq, I'm in for the $50,000 program, right? And I've seen this over and over again. And why does that happen? Because the video presentation is just a methodology. It's just a medium which we'll cover and we'll talk about. And I have a whole framework, which I'd love to just share with everyone here throughout this presentation, throughout this interview. And what we want to do and what we want to identify is, you know, what are the pains and problems your prospects are going through? Because if you can share that with them and then you can show them that you're the expert to help them, they will feel understood. And that's what people want and need in this attention, hyperactive, ADD. You got YouTube, Instagram, everything binging and binging 10 times a day. The human brain was not designed to do that. One of the things when I coach my clients, I tell them straight, hey, it's okay if you ignore your messages. Just don't ignore mine, but it's okay. You do not need to be glued to Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, email, Snapchat, Twitter, Clubhouse, every single thing at once. You do not need to do that. You can just relax, right? Because
it's relax and focus, and that's one of the things I've learned from you. And I think for us as tribe builders and my community, we're even more glued to social media because the notifications are going off all the time, and we feel like we have to be in there. But what I'm really learning from you is just that focus, switch everything off, the focus of the fact that the value of my time. And so what am I doing with my time? Because that hour is worth, let's say, $2,000. And so am I doing a $2,000 thing in that time? The other thing I just want to share, mention, Shaq, before you go into these strategies. And firstly, Lottie says yes for frequency, which is awesome. If you've got questions for Shaq, now is the time to post them below, comment below so we can ask your questions to Shaq. But Shaq, I love the way that you mentioned team first. And I think it's very easy. And this was a big kind of aha moment for me just in getting started with you, is that we often see our team as, and I say this cautiously, but importantly, we often see our team as tools. And it's like, I'll hire this VA here or this subcontractor here, and they're there to do a job for me to help me to achieve that goal. And what I'm really learning from you is the importance of sharing the vision with the team so that they know the place that they have in the whole bigger vision, that they're sold into the big vision, that they're passionate, not just about getting the money every single week, but knowing what we can achieve here on planet Earth together. And I found that fascinating when we started to work together. It wasn't about, or before we talk about the bigger strategies and lead gen, it was about get your foundations right. And I think that many people miss out on that. So I'm really pleased that you shared that to start with. It's such important.
100%. And you will, otherwise what will happen is you can get to six figures or even $1 million, but you'll be stuck. And one of the worst feelings is when you work so hard and you have success, and then you look around and you say, is this all there is? And I have plenty of clients that make millions of dollars that they face this all the time. And it's very simple. You didn't, in the beginning, you need to focus on yourself, right? You need to focus on being able to pay your bills, learning the skills to make yourself valuable in the marketplace. But, buying yourself one or two things. But then if all your focus is you want a car, you want this, you want this, when you start attracting a team, no one is inspired by that. Right? No one is inspired by the fact that you want to become a millionaire. Trust me. Your team, they have their own concerns. So coming from a place of knowing your why you're actually doing this, I'll give you two questions that can activate this thinking. One is, once you become successful, just visualize and imagine. And once you've achieved all of your goals, and if you had all the time and money in the world, what would you do? And really ponder on that. One of the things I would do if I had all the money in the world is I would do podcasts like this, right? Because it fires me up. It really recharges me. So that's one. Another thing that you can ask is this framework question is ask the people around you, maybe 3 to 5 people, just shoot them a text message or an email and just ask them, hey, what do you think I'm naturally good at? And you will find so many different perspectives from the closest people around you. And now you have, what we call our unique advantage analysis. You have things that people will say about you that you probably didn't even know about yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right? Mark, you should do that. You should do that today. Okay. By the way, I paid someone $25,000, a guy called Dan Sullivan. When we went to his event, that's what he taught us. Right. So he basically literally said, to find your unique ability, you need to go and ask the people around you. And that's a starting point. So hopefully that helps.
Yep.
Being able to, and again, what you said about social media, everyone's like this, right? I use a couple of tools that basically blocks almost everything, which is Facebook newsfeed killer, YouTube killer, YouTube stream killer or something, Twitter newsfeed killer. So I don't see anyone's feed. And the only thing I do see is my own Facebook group and my own Facebook groups and my Facebook profile. So when I get on Facebook, I'm not seeing 101 things that can distract me. That's number one. Number two, so I engineer this. Number two, I have very specific times that I log into social media, right? Because I don't know about you, sometimes you can get on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram and you can scroll half an hour, 1 hour away. And now you're beating yourself up for doing that. So now you're going to work extra late night and then you're going to sleep less and then you're going to sacrifice the next day. And for me, I just have like a rule for myself, right? So I like you, Mark, when you first came on to me and you said XYZ that you needed help with, one of the things I said to you was you need to create rules for yourself, right? And for you to scale, whether you're starting from zero and you're just trying to make six figures, usually what happens when you're trying to make your first 100 grand a year, it's usually a belief issue on yourself, and your friends and family usually don't support you.
Yes, it's true. That's
right. And then you go from six figures to seven figures, and now you've got yourself a few team members and few VAs all over the world, and you're trying to save money here, but you're overspending on this one employee. And then you secretly hate that team member who she doesn't perform, but you don't have the emotional maturity to fire her because you don't want to hurt her feelings. I've been through that, right? And the reason why I understand these pains is because I was that guy, right? Like I remember I used to have an assistant where she cost me so much money, but in my head, she had two little girls and I couldn't fire her. And I just feel like, she can stay even if she does a bad job with almost everything that she touches. And, that went on for years. So imagine how much money I potentially lost because of that. And I did lose probably easily over $500,000 or $600,000 until, we had to part ways. And I didn't just do it once. I did it with a couple of other guys. And when I experienced this, Mark, I always ask myself, is this the most optimal way? Right? So for your audience who are trying to build their tribe, I've been very fortunate and grateful, and we're going to get into, tribe building. And for me, my specialty is email list building. And I've been able to generate over 1 million subscribers because of my, strategies of building tribe. So I don't know if you want to get into that right now, but feel free to ask away and we can go from there.
No, that's awesome. So we've got lots of comments around. Looking forward to hearing the strategy. So let's get deep into your strategies, and because it's so, we often hear people say, "Oh, I've made seven figures or multiple seven figures." I've reiterated that you're the only person on the planet through ClickFunnels to achieve those beautiful awards behind you, the three eight-figure awards. So what are the strategies that took you there that we can learn from to implement in our business? Let's do it.
100%. I'm just going to fix my camera. I think it just went out of focus.
We've got to have absolute clarity of focus here.
There you go. Absolutely. Okay. So in the beginning, okay, I tell you the mistakes, and the reason why I share the mistakes is because sometimes you might be doing that. Okay. You might be doing that. And a lot of the times, to become successful, you have to do make less mistakes. Does that make sense? You have to make less mistakes versus trying to find the next secret strategy. And I'm going to give you almost all of my secret strategies because that's how I roll. So number one mistake people make is they choose the wrong traffic strategy. And what you have to understand is not every customer is created equal. Not every lead is created equal. Someone who uses Facebook, who knows about Facebook groups, who knows about maybe funnels, who knows that they want to build a tribe is way more qualified than some random person watching a YouTube video or some random guy or girl on Google searching for a problem or a cure. Does that make sense? So what we want to do is we have to first understand that, because one of the mistakes I made, and this mistake cost me at least 3 to 4 months of my life, is I used to be on Twitter about 10 years ago. And what I would do is I would just tweet all day long hoping that people will come to me. And it was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made, because I realized how really ridiculous that was. And I found a mentor, and he was the wrong mentor, but he said to me, well, at the time I didn't know what I didn't know. And some of you may, ladies and gentlemen, you may be going through that. This gentleman said to me, what you need to do is set up 18 different Twitter accounts, and you need to basically set up this bot, and you can generate leads. And I remember thinking, okay, this guy knows his stuff. He looks like a successful person. And remember, 10, 12 years ago, you didn't have all these mentors and coaches like you have now. So easy.
Yeah.
So I remember going, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? After 3 months, I'm like, this is really bad.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, I started learning about different traffic strategies. Facebook was just coming up. Solo ads, that's where I got my initial start. And a solo ad is essentially where you have a product or service, okay, or you can sell affiliate offers, anything, and someone else has a list of subscribers, a list of clients. And your job is to find that person and then go and pay them money so that they can promote to sometimes hundreds of thousands, even millions of subscribers, your offer. And I basically started with solo ads. And before that, I was doing Twitter. I was trying to write articles, press releases. I tried posting on social media, doing Facebook fan pages. Instagram wasn't even around. I tried to do YouTube videos. No one would watch my videos. I mean, it was just absolute crazy. And then what I discovered was, what had happened was, I went to a live event. And it was in London, in a place called Millennium Gloucester Hotel, ran by one of my friends called Mark Anastasi. And I remember going to this event, and I meet this one guy, and I start talking to him. And at the time, my email list was around 800 subscribers. Okay. I used to just add my friends and family in there just to get them added on my email list.
Yeah.
And what had happened was, I meet this gentleman, and he tells me that he's got a list of 100,000 subscribers. And you have to realize, I have 800 subscribers. It's like some people will look at you, Mark, and they'll say, 35,000 people in his Facebook group. Oh my gosh, like, how am I ever going to get there? They probably maybe don't even have 100, right? And so what happened was, for me, I looked at that and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And I remember having a conversation with him and just asking him, hey, what does it take to, maybe do a partnership? And he said to me, if you give me $5,000, I'll email my list. And I was like, wow, of course, I'll do it. And I shook his hand, and I thought, except I have no idea where I'm going to get $5,000 from. But I remember shaking his hand and thinking, go home and find that money. And I was 21 years old. I remember paying the guy $5,000. I borrowed it from my dad, $5,000. And he sends it out. I think he sent out 3 or 4 emails to a webinar. It was one webinar. And before that, I was struggling to even make $5,000 a month. During that webinar, we had around 200 people show up. And that webinar and the offer that I promoted on the webinar generated $72,000.
That's awesome.
I turned tiny little $5,000 into $72,000.
So good.
And I rinsed and repeated that process probably for the next 6 or 7 years.
Out of interest, Shaq, because I think it's important for everybody to hear this. Now, looking back on that webinar, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good do you think that webinar was or wasn't?
It was the worst webinar of my entire life. We had invited a guest to come and speak, and this guy had done like 100 million or something. He came on, bragged about himself for like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and then he just left. And me and my friend are looking at each other, and we have no idea what to do. And the webinar was supposed to be like a 2-hour training session. It lasted for like maybe 45 minutes. It was the absolute worst webinar. And I remember I had gone to Las Vegas for a convention, and he was with me. And back then, we didn't have iPhones. We had something called a BlackBerry. Now it's a Crackberry. It's disappeared, right? But the BlackBerry, and I remember walking into the elevator straight after the webinar, coming out of the elevator, looking at my BlackBerry, and the reception used to die off, and then the reception would jump back on the BlackBerry, and it jumped back on, and boom, boom, boom. I made all these sales, and I counted it up, and it was just over $5,000. And I just remember looking around and thinking, I don't know what I just did, but I think my life just changed. And it was almost by accident when they paid, the money for this product. It was like $297.
Yeah.
And I think 26 or 28 people had purchased. They were filling out an application form for a free income Kickstarter strategy session.
Mm.
And now obviously everyone, the whole market teaches this. Get people on a webinar, do book calls.
Yeah.
10 plus years ago, this was almost an accident. I didn't engineer it. I just wanted to know more about them. And so what had happened was I come upstairs and I see all of these applications of people wanting to work with me. And I remember using the phone in the hotel. I thought, I'm not going to let these leads go to waste. Let me just call them up. And I started calling them up. And I had no idea what the heck I was selling, but I was selling. And, over a period of 3 months, that turned out to be $72,000. And I quickly realized if I can rinse and repeat this process with other people, holy smokes, the game changes. And that's what changed the game for me. Because here's what happened. Instead of me trying so hard to just build my list, I would go and partner up and find other people with big lists. And I would find them and I would figure out a way to add so much value to them. And then they would promote my stuff. We would make a bunch of money. I'd take some of that money and then I would go and learn Facebook paid ads. I would go and invest more in solo ads. And it started ramping up. My first 10,000 subscribers, resulted in $1 million in sales for myself. I'm like, this is crazy. All I need to do is just double it. 20,000, 30,000, slowly to 50,000. And then I had a list of over 100,000 subscribers. And you have to bear in mind, when I first started emailing, some of you may be listening to this and you're like, man, I'm trying to get my first 100 subscribers, or I don't even know if I'm going to email them. God, ladies and gentlemen, I had it, I would have people write back to me and say, stop emailing me or I'm calling the FBI. They would call me names because my name is Shaqir Hussyin. They would call me names like Saddam Hussein. They would literally, write back to me and say, you sound like you're a terrorist. All of these things. And there were so many times where I felt so insecure. And at the time I was really morbidly overweight. I was, in that stage of morbidly obese. I had long greasy hair. I didn't have a lot of confidence. I could certainly never make a video like this. And that really just like, I remember thinking to myself, do I just quit on this? But I had a big why. Even when I started off, I was like, I got to do this for my family. I got to do this for myself. And I don't want to ever get a 9-to-5 job. No offense to anyone in those. I'm like, I need to step out and I need to create my own life. And, through that process, I've learned a lot. So I'm just going to give you tactical things, right, that you can do today, guaranteed to start building your list faster than anything else. Okay. You guys ready for it? And again, Mark is a coaching client of mine. So I wanted to go 1, 2, 3 steps above and beyond. So first thing first, whatever product and service that you're promoting, you must realize this universal truth. Someone else has already probably built that business and they have probably built a tribe. They have built a huge list. They have built a huge audience. And your job is to figure out who those people are and then how to tap into them. So that's step 1. Step 2 is you can go to a little website called clickbank.com. And on clickbank.com, they have over 100,000 digital products. And you can go to clickbank.com and you can go to any niche. So I used to go under the business education niche and I'll click on the business education niche and boom, you'll have at least 10 pages of products and services that other people have created. And sometimes people spend 5 or 10 years creating these things. And you can go into those and you can find them if you go to the site and you can find something called the JV contact link. And you can start reaching out to these people and you can start coming up with a conversation. You can get them on your podcast. You can message them and tell them how much you like their marketing and that we want to build a friendship with them. You can figure out ways to add value to them. You could literally just go out. And this is what I used to do is I used to say, hey man, I like your site. I like your product. Listen, I know you've got a big list because you're on first page of ClickBank. So you're obviously making thousands and thousands of dollars a day. I would literally message them and I'd say, hey, how much does it cost to mail your list for my product?
You're right.
Right. And I got so good at this. I mean, I would tap into people's lists. These guys and girls literally, like, they would spend years, if not decades, building their list. And then they would get this message and I'd get them on a call. I'd build a quick relationship with them. And then I'd say, hey, why don't you just email your list? Right. There's a site called selfgrowth.com. And I remember, selfgrowth.com at the time was one of the biggest personal development sites ever. There's another site called newsmax.com, huge site, literally millions and millions of people subscribing, because I wanted to reach American baby boomers, right? I wanted to show them how to start a home-based business online. So I would literally so I gave you one strategy, which is ClickBank, okay, that you can use today. And by the way, you can duplicate that strategy for you on Udemy. You could literally go and find people on Udemy that have your dream clients and they've got maybe 20,000 customers and they only selling a $10 product. Well, if you can tap in and you have a high ticket product, you sell a $3,000, a $5,000, a $10,000 product. Imagine you can tap into that person's list and you pay them a one-time fee of maybe $3,000 or $5,000, but you have a $10,000 product. You just need one or two sales to break even or to be profitable. That's how you want to think. And what happens after you do Udemy? Well, then there's Digistore. Well, then there's, 20, 50 other platforms that you can tap into, right? And what happens is, you might be thinking, that sounds like a lot of work. Who says you have to do it?
That's right.
You can create the system. And then you have someone else that goes in and all they're doing every single day is they are in charge of strategic relationships. They're going out there, building relationships, messaging people. And it's not just that. You can now niche down to Facebook groups, find other Facebook groups. One of the reasons why I even connected with Mark is I saw his Facebook group was like twice as big as my Facebook group. And he teaches coaches and consultants how to build a tribe. I teach coaches and consultants how to build funnels and how to use funnels to automate their sales and marketing. So I'm like, hey, Mark, we should connect. Yep. But you see, I came up with wanting to connect. I wanted him on my podcast. Hint, hint, I wanted to add value. I didn't go and be like, hey, Mark, you want to buy my coaching? I didn't try to sell him. I was thinking to myself, here's a guy, he knows one or two things. Let me see if I can get him on my podcast and just give him value. Not once did I say, hey, you want to check out my website? I didn't say, hey, Mark, I'm running a special offer today and, you look like a perfect client. I didn't do any of that, right? I didn't try to find his assistant or find his team members and harass them. I literally just came in with trying to give value up front. And it's hard. I get it, especially when you're starting off and you're like, man, I'm trying to pay my bills. But the way you pay your bills is first you stack your skills. First you start developing yourself as a person that's attractive in the marketplace. Does that make sense? And attractive, not meaning, you dress up and stuff like that, but attractive meaning you have value that you can share with a tribe, with your tribe, with a group of people. So, those are some of my, instant quick strategies. And I'll give you an advanced one maybe later on, but fire away.
Just to jump into that, that's exactly what I did when I first started here in Australia. There's a website called Source Bottle, and it sends out daily news or emails for media that you can be in. So it's kind of that media pitch. There's one in the US called Harrow, Help a Reporter, and it was like $350. to put a promotion at the top of that page, the top of that email. And so there's 2 emails that you could send out, $350. And I created a landing page and I invited business owners to book in a call for, they had to pay $100. And that call was to understand what was going on in their business, to create them a strategy, to help them to get to that next level, and then sell in the service that I had, the coaching that I had. And I remember at the very beginning, it was like $350. And when you don't have much, when you're struggling in your business and you're taking money out of your own back pocket to invest in your business, it was a scary thing. It was like, but all I need is, if I'm selling these sessions for $100 each, all I need is 4 people to cover the costs. And that's just what I focused on. And the first time I did that, I made $8,000 just through people booking in calls. I was inundated and actually had to hire somebody to help me to book those calls. So I love these early strategies that you're teaching. It's just, it's action. It's now, it's engaging with people rather than just chucking money into your own, out of your own back pocket into stuff that isn't necessarily going to work for you right now. So great strategies.
100%. I'm going to give you what I consider the ultimate marketing strategy, and this trumps almost everything. And this is called integration marketing. You want to write those 2 words down. And integration marketing, and I know Mark's been doing it recently with a couple of big name heavy hitters in the industry. Integration marketing is when you can find someone else that has all of your dream clients, and you literally plug yourself, your products, your videos, your trainings inside of their members area, inside of their list, inside of their audience. So for example, let's just say Mark is teaching how to build your tribe. And one of the things when he's teaching, because I've gone through some of his products and stuff, one thing he's teaching is how do you build your tribe? How do you use this funnel, like the challenge funnel? How do you use the webinar funnel to get clients? Now, he may not teach how to be a highly paid funnels consultant, because that's not really what he's teaching. Okay. Now imagine I can go to him and I say, hey, Mark, you know what? You have a great group of customers. You have a great group of leads, people that haven't become customers. Hey, how would you like for me to do some training for free? I just want to add some value to you. And hey, if it makes sense, at the end of the training, I'll just tell them to come and find me.
Yeah.
Now, imagine I did that and I did a deal with Mark. He's got 100,000 subscribers that he can introduce me to his list. Does that make sense? So I did that back, I guess, in 2013. I found this big internet marketing community, and they had over 200,000 customers, not leads, customers. And they asked, hey, who wants to contribute some training? And everyone came in and they did a 1-hour little segment. They taught, Facebook fan page strategies and whatever. I came in with a monster close to 4 hours of solo ads training. 4 hours. I didn't get paid nothing for it. But guess what that 4 hours did? It built a multi-million-dollar agency called Solo Ads Agency. I taught them solo ads agency. You get it?
Yep.
All those thousands of customers, guess what? They looked at me. They looked at me as, he's the guy that knows solo ads. Oh, by the way, he owns soloadsagency.com. Guess what? I did the same thing with Facebook. I taught Facebook ads, had a whole expert come in and teach Facebook ads. And guess what? I own fbadsagency.com. And so do you see where I'm going with this? I found another community with 50,000 clients. 50,000 clients, except these clients didn't learn about funnels. So I came in and I started teaching them about funnels. What do you think happened? My business, boom, exploded. People start going to funnels.com. They go to my funnelsagency.com and they're like, this is the guy I need to go and learn from. This is the guy I need to go and pay for my funnels. So I go and I find underserved markets, and you can find this. You can research, put your thinking hat on and research, where are your dream clients? Who's already got them? And how comes they're not being taken care of, right? And then you want to figure out, how do I add immense value and then get
You know, it's like Mark was just telling me that he's doing some work with Brad Sugars, right? And Brad Sugars is an incredible businessman. He's generated over $1 billion in sales. You know, he's got a list of, I don't know how many people he's got, but if you're now coaching those people and you're giving value, that's an example of integration marketing. And every single one of you listening to this, you can do this, right? It takes a little bit of time, but I mean, you're tapping into other people's customer databases.
Absolutely. And what I love about that, Shaq, is that I love learning from coaches and obviously yourself and hearing what you're saying and implementing it. But I love watching too. So I love seeing what you're doing. And when I realized that you'd gone through that process, the funnels agency, the Facebook ad agency, a light bulb went on for me. And as you know, we've been building challenges and for us, for our clients, for others. And so when I saw that strategy of yours, I quickly, just the other week, purchased challengefunnelagency.com.
I like it. I like it. That's amazing, right? And that's, guess what? That could be an extra, what we call a bolt-on profit center. Because when your customers come in and they like you and they love you and they buy from you, and then they say, you know what, Mark, I want to just build my tribe. I want to build my impact. I want to help people. I don't care about these Facebook ads. Do you have someone that can do this? And you turn around and you say, hey, for our clients only, we have this, right? And now your clients can now be taken into the path where you get to keep those profits. So I always think about, you know, how do I own the entire ecosystem? You know, most people, most business owners, they're like a race horse. And, you know, if you're just a race horse, you get tired, right? Because all day you're racing with other horses. What you want to do is own the entire race course.
Yeah.
So you own all the horses, right? And I remember learning this many, many years ago, you know, own the race course versus just the race horses. And any time I want to build my business, you know, people usually come to me, they have a business and they say, how do I build an empire, online empire with it, right? How do I have so many different agencies and different profit streams and multiple streams of income without me having to always be in it? And that's one of the things that I specialize in helping my clients do. And hopefully this has shed some insight.
That's really helpful. So, Shaq, we often hear a lot of coaches, experts, authorities. They say that what it takes to get you to six figures is different to what it takes to get to seven, and then it's different to what it takes to get to eight. Can you just break that down so we can understand where we are at and what we need to focus on now to get to that next level?
100%. So I have a saying, which is, with every level, there's another devil. And my goal as your coach is to help you beat the devil before you go and meet it, right? And that way, you're not facing those heartbreaking mistakes and costly mistakes. You can avoid them. So when you're at six figures, here's what you have to realize. You need to have a product, a service, something that you can sell, ideally $3,000 to $10,000 each. Secondly, you need to develop a skill, one for traffic and one for conversion. So the traffic is essentially how to get customers, okay? Whether it's Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Instagram, LinkedIn. And then the conversion element is maybe you want to be good at Facebook groups where the person comes to your world, likes you, knows you, trusts you, pulls out the credit card and buys from you. That's called conversion. What is a conversion mechanism that you want to get good at? It might be YouTube videos. It might be Facebook groups. It might be LinkedIn. For me, at the beginning, I tried to do all of these things. And I realized, you know, especially because I was, you know, really overweight. I didn't like making videos. I didn't really like talking to people. So what I did was I got good at doing webinars, right? So I got good at doing webinars and picking up the phone to speak to someone and authentically just enroll them or close them for my products and services. So when you're at six figures, it's usually that. When I was at six figures, that's exactly what I was doing. And I hired my cousin for like $300 a month to do assistant work. And I've been very fortunate, all praise to God. I have like literally have had one or two assistants ever since then, right? Because, you know, having an assistant or two can take away all your day-to-day admin work. Like I don't even check my emails. I don't even open my own letters at home. You know, today I found out I owe, you know, I think like 15 or $20,000 in taxes. Someone else deals with that. Like almost none of these admin things I do. Someone else does all of these things. So even when I was at 6 figures or less, I did that. So that's 6 figures. What got me to 7 figures was I hired 2 people to come in and to do phone sales. So I had a product I was selling, I was making about $10,000, $20,000 a month. And then I documented that process. I created a sales system, a script. I gave it to 2 people, and then boom, I went to $1.2 million on my 3rd year of online marketing. And then I thought, wow, what do I need to do? Well, I just need to double up on what I'm doing. So the next year I did $2.4 million. And by that time I had started building a list. And then I realized, wow, even if I build a list, 95% of people, they just don't buy anything. So then I realized I can promote other people's stuff. So I started promoting other people's stuff, and then boom, my income went to $3.6 million. And at this stage, I'm having lots of momentum. I'm loving it. I'm on top of the world. I'm like 23, maybe 24 years old. And I went and hired my real A player. His name is Jamie. And I remember hiring this kid who had just so much experience in internet marketing. And he came in and he said, Shaq, what you need to do is you need to add in lots of different offers. And he created one new offer. And it was almost like magic. My income shot from $300,000 a month to $600,000 per month. And it stayed there for years. And the next year I did 6.54 million, 6.4 or $6.5 million. The next year I did $7.8 million. And it just became a snowball, right? And the biggest lesson I learned was hiring the right people. And, you know, that took me to multiple 7 figures, and then to 8 figures, I had to own and dominate a part of the industry. I had to just own that, you know, hey, what do I need to be known for? At 8 figures, at 6 figures, it's your skills. At 7 figures, it's your skills and a team. At 8 figures, it's your skills, your team skills, your offer creation. That's the $1 million, the $10 million secret is you got to have an offer that scales.
Yeah.
Right? You got to have an offer that scales, and you got to remove yourself from a lot of the day-to-day.
Wow. Shaq, that's so helpful. And those are the strategies, obviously, that we need to kind of implement and learn in order to get to those next levels. I'd love to ask you, Shaq, I know your time's precious and I'm so grateful for your time, but I really want to ask you about mindset, because I know that at the kind of 6-figure level, where it's almost like, will this business work is the question that we have ourselves. Like you said earlier, we listen to the doubts of others, and when things go wrong, the doubts of others just reverberate around our mind. We question ourselves. There's a distinction between, like, if I think about my mindset at 6 figures, and then I look at you now, and you're speaking with such certainty, such clarity. There's no way you're thinking about, hey, I'm keeping my resume up to date just in case this doesn't work out, and I'm on the job sites just in case. How do you get that level of certainty to propel your business forward?
You know, there's a saying, success attracts more success. And what a lot of people, they try to do is they're at 6 figures or less than 6 figures, and they just want to become a millionaire. And I have this saying that I tell all my clients, you know, because I have 2 groups of clients. One is like, they're trying to make 10 to 30K a month. And then there's another group of clients, they're stuck and miserable at 100 to 500K a month. So there's 2 different types. And usually when you're starting off and they don't, the person doesn't have that belief and confidence, is usually because they haven't had any quick wins. And let me explain this to you, because you're going to really appreciate it. One of the things that we teach our clients to do is they need to have quick wins, so that when they have quick wins, they can have momentum. When they can have momentum, their confidence goes up. When they have confidence goes up, they don't really care about their friends, their family, the uncle at the dinner table that's saying, hey, how's the internet marketing stuff that's going? You know, how's that funnel working out? They don't say that stuff. And even if they say stuff like that, you have that confidence. That confidence then leads to you saying, this works, I need to develop myself. And then now you have competence. That competence then now leads to giving you new capabilities. And that capabilities now gives you a newer level of clarity. And when you have new levels of clarity, procrastination, fear of failure, imposter syndrome, all of these things just disappear. And now you're like this never-ending machine. That's why you see people that when they become successful, it's like you think, why are they always successful? Why is that person so rich? How comes they're always so rich? Or you see someone that makes, 10, 20, $30 million, and you're like, how is that person on this rocket ship? It's because they have this cycle, right? They develop confidence because of skills, because they persevere. The confidence leads to new levels of competency. The competency leads to new levels of capabilities. The new capabilities gives that person clarity. And it's just like, it's never ending. And guess what happens? When you become like that, you start attracting clients. You start attracting team members that talk to you and say, wow, I like the way that person thinks. I like the way his mind works. I like the way she thinks about these problems. How do I be around that person? That's when you will attract A players. That's when you will attract people, and people will want to say, hey, it's okay. You don't have, I'll take a pay cut, but I want to be around you. Hey, I love your energy. How do I get more of you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's so true. Again, I say to my clients, and it's my belief that when you make your first sale in business, you think it's a fluke. Like, it's how the heck did I do that? How do I manage to pull that off? Don't know what happened, but I got a sale. The second, the third, it's a fluke. By the time you've sold 8 or 9 times, it's like this light bulb comes on. It's like, if I can sell 8 or 9 times, I can sell 100 times. And as you say, that confidence is there, the competency is there, and then you're just on this mission to figure out how you can get more people in to make more sales, because you now know that you can do it. So
Yeah.
I just love that advice there. And that really ties back to exactly what you said at the beginning, Shaq, which was all these opportunities to get those quick wins, whether it's through self-growth, whether it's Udemy, whether it's ClickBank. It's find those people that you can connect with to put your offer in front of their audience in order to get those quick wins at the very beginning, to scale your confidence, and then you can take your work to that next level.
Yeah, 100%. And what you will have is,
Mm.
when you are taking action and you're getting clarity and you're developing confidence and you're getting this momentum, you're gonna feel, for lack of a better term, you're gonna feel like your own self-worth, your self-image goes up, right? Like your income, your results in life comes down to your best thinking. So if you want to change the results and you want to change, how what kind of stuff you have in your life and the outside world, it's an internal battle first. If you can win that internal battle, between your ears, and you can quieten that little voice inside of yourself, and you can master that, that's what really propels. That's what I've seen anyway. And obviously having coaches and mentors and masterminds and communities, like, even what Mark has, being part of Facebook groups and private coaching programs and private masterminds, all of these things help. And for me, I've always had mentors, and multiple mentors. And when I would find the right mentor, I would stick with that mentor for years and years and years. I mean, I had one mentor for literally for 4 years. I literally did every single thing that he said, because in the beginning I found one or two quick wins, and I was like, okay, this guy is going somewhere. I could literally, and this guy has made a lot of mistakes, because you don't want to have a mentor that is just too perfect. They haven't made any mistakes, because you want to, those people are usually much more humble. They can share much more with you than just someone who's been successful for 2 or 3 years. Does that make sense? So for me, when I find the right mentor, I'll just keep paying them. Because for me, it's a long-term thing. I'm not just here for, I want to do this business for the next few decades. So I'm always looking ahead.
And just to make that full loop back to the beginning of the conversation, you mentioned, because obviously when we're in business, and especially starting off, and kind of something doesn't go right, or we don't get the sale, or the funnel doesn't work, or, you know, and it's that question around giving up. I just want to tie it back to what you said at the beginning, Shaq, which was about being so deeply connected to your why. And for you, it was your family. And when you're so deeply connected to why is it that I'm doing this, then that's what propels you forward over any obstacle, any hurdle, anything like that. That's what enables you to, like you said at the beginning, you found, well, you said, yeah, I'm going to invest $5,000 to this guy to send an email out. And you didn't have the $5,000 or £5,000, but you were so deeply connected to your why that you knew that you were going to figure it out, say yes, and then figure it out later. So I really love the strategies that you've taught us practically, but also the insight into the mindset around achieving that success. So thank you so much for your time today, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's been great to be here. Yeah, question?
Yeah, well, I've got 3 questions actually, just very quickly. A rapid fire question round, Shaq. 3 quick questions so we can get to know more about you as a person. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, Shaq, when you are not working, when you're in your downtime, what can you be found doing?
I am hanging out with my family. I love them to bits. In my early 20s, I spent a lot of time traveling around the world, which I wouldn't trade for anything else. But now as I get older, you know, and I just turned 32, I just love hanging out with my parents. Even if I'm just sitting in the corner, I just love being in their presence. So I just love hanging out with them and my wife.
So second question, if you had to get stuck in a lift, right? You're in a lift, it stops. Which 3 other people would you love to be stuck in a lift with? Dead or alive?
My dad, my wife, and my younger brother. They just are really, really funny, and I just never get bored of them.
Oh, I love the fact it's all about family. All right, final question. If there was only one book that you could recommend that everybody should read, what book would that be?
80/20 Sales and Marketing by Perry Marshall.
Awesome. There you have it. So many great comments in the chat down below. We've got just summaries of the conversation. Own the race course. Underserved markets. Nice. It's my blessing that I have the privilege to listen to this. Thank you. So, Shaq, how can our audience connect with you, hang out with you? Where can they learn from you? What's
I'm easy to find. Funnels.com with 2 N's. Funnels.com. Go there. Check out. I give away a free PDF, a playbook that's easy to read. You can consume it in about 15 minutes. I give away a step-by-step case study. I give away my actual methodology. It's a 7-part methodology that I've figured out that takes you from being unknown to being known. If you want to build your tribe, you want to attract high-paying clients, literally 7 steps. And I just break the whole thing down for you. And if you miss one of these 7 steps, it's usually why your marketing or your business is not working. So if you get these 7 steps right, you're good. You can go to funnels.com. And at the end, if you feel like, hey, you know what, you want to work with me and my team, feel free to book a funnels discovery session so we can figure out, hey, which funnel is going to work for you? What do you need help with, and how we can help you get to the next level.
And I know how game-changing that funnels discovery session is, so I'd encourage everybody to head over to the website, funnels.com, make sure that you get access to that content, book in that call, and I'd love to hear how that call goes for you. Shaq, thank you so much for your time today, buddy.
Absolutely. I'm very grateful that you invited me and I could share a few notes here. Thank you so much again.